Hello crafters, welcome to Rajni's Craftivity. Today I will show you how to make basic explosion box, and for that we will need 5 sheets of cardstock paper of 12 by 12 inch size. Out of 5 sheets, one we will use for making lid, so we will keep aside, and these four we will use for making layered box. And for making layers, here I am using these papers in decreasing order of their size. That means for the first layer I am using 12 by 12 inch square paper. For second layer I am using 11 and 3/4 inch by 11 and 3/4 inch square paper. For third layer I am using 11 and half inch by 11 and half inch square paper. And for fourth layer I am using 11 and 1/4 inch by 11 and 1/4 inch square paper. So let's start making first layer. Now for scoring the lines we will use scoreboard. Keep your paper on the scoreboard and score first line at 4 inch. Now turn your paper to 90 degree and again score at 4 inch. Again turn your paper to 90 degree and score at 4 inch. Again turn your paper to 90 degree and score at 4 inch. This way we made 9 equal size squares. Now here in these 4 corner squares we'll score diagonal line. Now we will cut heart shape in these 4 corners, and for that we will use 4 by 4 inch square paper as a guide. This is 4 inch by 4 inch square paper. First fold this paper diagonally. Draw the heart. take second sheet of 11 and 3/4 by 11 and 3/4 inch square and again score at 4 inch from every side. After scoring these lines, we will notice that these corner squares are of 4 by 4 inch size and these middle rectangles are 3 and 3/4 inch wide and 4 inch long. Now here in the second layer, we will make pockets at the middles, and for making pockets we will need a flap of same size. As this square is 4 by 4 inch, we will score a line here at 3 and 3/4 inch from this score line, as this is 3 and 3/4 inch wide. So we will score a line here till this score line at 3 and 3/4 inch from this score line. Like this. Now turn your paper to 90 degree and repeat the same procedure. We'll score a line till this score line at a distance of 3 and 3/4 inch from this score line. Again turn your paper to 90 degree and repeat. Now to make a flap, we will cut this line. We will cut this line from here to here, perpendicular to this 1/4 inch line. Like this. Turn your paper to 90 degree. Again cut from this point to this point perpendicular to this 1/4 inch line. Turn your paper to 90 degree. Again cut from this point to this point. Again turn 90 degree and cut from this point to this point perpendicular to this line. Now fold these lines. Now take the third sheet of 11.5 inch by 11.5 inch square and again score at 4 inch. Scoring these lines, we will find that these 4 corner squares are 4 by 4 inch and these middles are 4 inch long and 3.5 inch wide. We need to make a flap of same size, that is 4 inch long and 3.5 inch wide. So we will score here at 3.5 inch from this line. That means half inch from this edge till this score line. Now we will score one more line here at 1/4 inch from this score line, like this. Now turn your paper to 90 degree and repeat the procedure. So we will score at 3.5 inch from this score line till this score line. And one more line at 1/4 inch from this line. Turn your paper to 90 degree and repeat the procedure. Now we'll cut the first line from this end from each side. Now take the last fourth sheet of 11 1/4 by 11 1/4 inch square and again score at 4 inch on each side. After you score these lines, you will notice that these 4 corner squares are 4 by 4 inch square and the middle ones are 3 1/4 inch wide and 4 inch long. Now again we have to make pockets at the middle, so we need to make a flap of same size. That means we have to score here line at 3 1/4 inch from this score line. And one more line here at a distance of 1/4 inch from this score line. Turn your paper 90 degree and again repeat the procedure. Now last we will make the lid. Now here we will mark each side at 3 inch, 6 inch, 9 inch and 12 inch. So we'll mark. Now turn your paper to 45 degrees. That means you have to make a diamond shape. Now draw a straight line joining the points. This one. Now turn your paper to 90 degree and again draw the vertical lines joining the points. Score all these lines. Four squares 1, 2, 3, 4 will score diagonally. Now we will fold these 4 lines in. Now here we will glue down all these 4 triangles. Now here we will glue this flap down. Now we glue this part and this part. Now at this point you can decorate your box, and after you finish decorating, glue each layer on one another in the center. Glue the layers at the center like this, then this one, and then this one.